The morning sun barely crested the rooftops of Willow Creek, a tidy suburban enclave where every lawn was manicured and every mailbox gleamed. I stood on my porch, cradling a steaming mug of black coffee, the kind that could wake a coma patient. My old army t-shirt clung to my shoulders, and my sweatpants standard issue from my days in the Serre VYC hung loose. I was savoring the quiet, the kind of calm you don't appreciate until you've stared down a rifle in a desert halfway across the world. Then I saw him. A man in his 50s, wraparound sunglasses perched on his nose, a navy polo tucked tightly into khakis, and a plastic badge clipped to his belt. He stood next to my pickup truck, scribbling furiously on a notepad like he was auditioning for a role as a meter maid. This wasn't a neighbor. This was trouble. At first, I figured he was lost, maybe scoping out the neighborhood for a yard sale. But then he looked up, locked eyes with me, and barked. "Your vehicle's parked at a 68-degree angle. That's a violation of HOA Section 14. My brain stalled. I took a slow sip of coffee, letting the bitter heat ground me. "You're writing me a ticket?" I asked, stepping onto the grass, my voice calm but edged with disbelief. He straightened, clutching his clipboard like a shield. "Not a ticket. A citation. Non-compliance with HOA standards is a serious matter, sir." I glanced at my truck perfectly within my driveway, not blocking the sidewalk, no leaks, no flats. Just a loyal beast resting on concrete. "My bad," I said, sarcasm creeping in. "Didn't know the parking police were on patrol." He didn't flinch. "I'm Gerald," he said, tapping his badge, which looked like it was printed at a dollar store. "I represent this community's standards under the Housing Oversight Association bylaws." "You mean the HOA?" I said, raising an eyebrow. His face twitched. "That's what I said." I might have laughed if he didn't look so deadly serious. Gerald tore off the citation with a flourish and handed it to me, his lips curling into a smug grin. "First offense is a warning. Next time, we're talking fines. Possibly lien proceedings." I stared at the paper. "Lien proceedings? For parking in my own driveway? Rules are rules," he snapped, planting one sneaker on my lawn like he owned it. I was about to fire back when a low rumble interrupted us, the kind that vibrates in your chest. Diesel engines. Familiar. My weekend drill unit was rolling in, right on schedule. 3 Humvees rounded the corner, olive green giants that made Gerald's golf cart look like a toy. His pen froze midair. His eyes widened. My buddy Marcus hopped out of the lead vehicle, grinning. "Yo, Jackson, ready for the range?" Gerald stumbled back as soldiers spilled out, stretching their legs, adjusting gear. "What's this?" he stammered, clutching his clipboard tighter. I folded the citation slowly, meeting his gaze. "This is my backup. We take driveway citations very seriously." Marcus caught the VYB and marched over, peering at Gerald's badge. "Sir, is this man impersonating an officer?" Gerald's face strained to the color of skim milk. "I'm not impersonating. I'm a neighborhood authority." "Under what jurisdiction?" I pressed, stepping closer. "Because I'm pretty sure I outrank you," he sputtered. "I have documents." Marcus smirked. "You print those off a Reddit thread?" Neighbors started poking their heads out, drawn by the commotion. Some in robes, one guy still holding a leaf blower. Gerald's little kingdom was crumbling. He didn't back off, though. The next morning, I spotted him from my porch, same mug in hand. Gerald had leveled off his golf cart, now sported a flashing amber bike light, and he wore a sash reading, "Community Standards Liaison." His clipboard had evolved into a binder with color-coded tabs. I almost admired the audacity. He slowed as he passed my house, glaring like I'd stolen his birthright. I waved. He scribbled something down. By afternoon, a sleek SUV pulled up, and a woman stepped out, all sharp angles and no smile. She introduced herself as Diane, president of the HOA, not mine, but the one in the next sub-BVY Shaun. Gerald had roped her in, claiming he was spearheading a cross-community enforcement initiative. When I explained his driveway citation stunt, her face tightened. She'd been told our neighborhood was overrun by a militia breaking zoning codes. Instead, she found me in gym shorts and a guy with a fake badge. She sped off toward Gerald's usual haunt, and soon her voice echoed. "You forged a letterhead, Gerald!" That evening, the neighborhood erupted. 20 residents gathered in the park, some with lawn chairs, others with dogs straining at leashes. Gerald's reign of terror wasn't just my problem. A retired couple said he'd fined them for overwatering. Another neighbor swore he'd measured their Christmas lights with a ruler, calling them a VY soul hazard. One woman claimed he'd handed out a noise scale he'd invented, complete with acceptable laughter decibels. When Mrs. Evelyn, the real HOA president, arrived tiny, sharp-eyed, pulling a cooler of lemonade like a general, she took control. Gerald showed up, undeterred, setting up a folding table with a sign. HOA Enforcement Station. Mrs. Evelyn approached, sipping her drink. "Gerald," she said, voice like a scalpel, "you've never been authorized to issue citations. You were kicked off the board 5 years ago for finding someone over early Halloween decorations." Gerald's eye twitched. "With respect, Evelyn, your leadership's weak. Someone had to step up." She didn't blink. "You're a liability. Stop, or we'll pursue trespassing charges." The crowd gasped. Gerald stormed off, binder in hand, his golf cart's beacon flickering like a dying star. But Gerald wasn't done. At midnight, I heard rustling outside. I opened my door, porch light catching a figure in camel pants and face paint crouched by my recycling bin. "Gerald." He stood, brushing off his sleeves, and handed me a preventative ad VY sorry. For alleged violation slitter, Christmas lights, a flagpole tilted 22 degrees. "You measured flagpoles?" I asked. "I eyeballed them," he said, dead serious. "I told him to stay off my property or face real cops." He didn't flinch. "I'm documenting everything. Security's everyone's responsibility." I shut the door, called Marcus, and by dawn, we had motion sensor cameras up. That night, they caught Gerald in a reflective, neighborhood watch vest, snapping photos of a neighbor's trash. I filed a police report. They'd had other complaints about a golf cart vigilante. An officer promised to talk to him, but I knew Gerald was a different breed. Then Raj, a neighbor, showed up with a folder, screenshots, photos, a spreadsheet. Gerald had files on half the block, license plates, trash bin notes, even neighbors' work schedules. Raj had infiltrated Gerald's enforcement program to gather evidence. This wasn't funny anymore. We planned a neighborhood cookout, a spring barbecue on the surface, but really a trap. Mrs. Evelyn brought a podium and a projector. When Gerald arrived, clipboard in tow, we fired up the slides, Gerald in night camo, captioned, "HOA Special Ops." Audio of him whispering into a dead walkie-talkie. A photo of him using his shoe to measure a flagpole. The crowd roared. Gerald tried to unplug the projector, but Marcus blocked him. Mrs. Evelyn laid out his crimes, forged documents, harassment, zero authority. Gerald shouted, "I brought order." I stepped up. "You brought chaos." Mrs. Evelyn placed a hand on his shoulder. "You don't need to be in charge to matter, Gerald. But you need to stop." He left, silent, his golf cart rolling into the dusk. A week later, a fake cease and desist letter arrived, typed in Comic Sans, from the Greater Home Oversight Alliance. Marcus traced the email to Gerald. At the next HOA meeting, packed with fed-up residents, Mrs. Evelyn presented the evidence. Gerald walked in, no props, just defiance. He took the mic, unapologetic. "I cared about this place. I did what no one else would." The board banned him from all HOA roles. His house hit the market soon after. He moved out, head down, in a beat-up sedan. The neighborhood breathed again. Kids played, lawns grew, and Mrs. Evelyn sent me a lemon bar with a thank you note. At the next block party, they gave me a plaque. Guardian of the Free Driveway. I raised it like a trophy, my army buddies saluting. But late one night, sipping coffee on my porch, I saw a car slow in front of my house. A stranger squinted, scribbled on a pad, and drove off. My grip tightened on the mug. Not again. Then he pulled into a neighbor's driveway pizza delivery. I laughed, easing back. The suburbs aren't boring. Not when you've met a man like Gerald.